Officially, St. Peter's dates back to 1450. However, it's difficult to assess how much of that building still exists after the large reconstructions by the father and son Hans von Steenwinkel. The first in conjunction with the church being given to the German congregation in 1585, and the second half a century later. Incredibly, the church survived both the big conflagrations of the 18th century and the later bombardment, and it still belongs to the German Lutheran congregation, which have both a kindergarten and school and high school nearby, though since 1994 they don't actually own the building anymore. Who gets the insane idea of combining a university chapel, a royal library, and an observatory? Well, the only one who actually had the power to then build it was the king himself. The big conflagration of 1728 left only the bare walls, and most of what we see today is a result of the rebuilding afterwards. The Reformation released the country from the stranglehold of the Catholic Church only to deliver it into another religious monopoly, that of the Lutheran Church. This monopoly was largely intact until we got our first democratic constitution in 1849. There were some few exceptions. The Jews, for instance, had got their freedom in the beginning of that century, though they were still not allowed to build any synagogues. Another exception was a result of the royal wedding. The King Christian V married the Calvinistic Charlotte Amalie of Hessen-Kassel, the same queen that lent her name to the capital of the US Virgin Islands, and for her sake the Reformed Church was allowed to be built. The Queen herself donated a large sum needed for the construction of the building, which has been from the beginning used by both the French and the German Reformed congregations, both with their own parsonry and school nearby. Both schools technically still exist, though they have merged into other schools and moved away. As this fire also consumed the parish church of St. Clements, this church was substituted as a parish church. There has been a religious foundation, that is, a hospital, here since 1296, presumably with a chapel, although the church itself is not mentioned until 1449. Nothing of it is left, as it burned down with a large part of the city in 1728. Architecturally, it's very simple. This church rose from the ashes of the bombardment in 1807. Historically, however, it's a different matter. Founded as a collegiate church, it was turned into a parish church in 1536, along with the bishop moving here, and consequently was made into a suffragan cathedral. It did not become a cathedral in its own right until 1901. Unlike many other medieval churches that was destroyed by various calamities, we have a pretty good idea how this church used to look because it has a twin that still stands in Malmö. It looks very modern, but that might have something to do with it being by a British architect, and originally it was yellow. Built by the Lutheran Missionary Association, it is now used by the Spanish Baptists. Under the name of the Copenhagen Church, this is an evangelic Lutheran free congregation, which means they adhere to the dogmatism of the People's Church without being part of it. Scheduled for closure, it has been taken over by the International Church of Copenhagen.